Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp and to the midweek sales video where we do try and do some extra damage to your backlog. We do still have our 5% discount over at switchup.gg. We get 5% in cashback with any purchases you make. Nice one.
Absolutely. As always, we've got 50% up until however high you want to go basically on these games. And this is a very strong sale, midweek or not.
I'd like to go 110%, please.
You have to stop at 100. Probably 99.9 to be honest.
Lovely. All right, what are the best games on sale? Well, let's find out. We've got a collaboration between a few different publishers who have sponsored this episode, so let's jump into some of their releases that are on massive sales. You've got KO the Kangaroo. It describes itself as a love letter to the golden age of 3D platformers, with a memorable cast of characters and some cracking boss fights. It's just a 3.7 gig download and at what, £3.74, 85% off. That is a decent price and it goes on until March the 1st.
You've also got Skyline Bowling, which is down by some 60%, and that one runs out soon actually. This offers local multiplayer, motion controls, and it's not just about the bowling, it's about the equipment that you wear to get extra spin on the ball.
The last one is Bee Simulator, which I know you've finished fully and you also own physically.
I do, and I have, yes, or I have and I do. So this is a third-person simulation, as it mentions, where you play as a bee going about your daily life. You need to partake in battles with other insects, you need to collect honey, and there are races against other creatures as you go through. A fun little game, very different.
Lovely stuff. So there's 3 games that are on massive sales at the moment. Some of them end quite soon, so do make sure you pick them up if you're interested. Once again, a big thanks to the publishers of these games for sponsoring this episode. We'll pop all links down in the description. Let's kick off then with the Ghostbusters game that I think you reviewed on a channel.
I did, yeah. So this was effectively a sequel to the first couple of Ghostbusters films going way back, and it had the cast obviously from those first 2 films doing the voice acting. It's a very good game actually. So it's a third-person action game, I guess, where you go into a number of different locations and fighting the ghosts. Quite difficult at times. It's quite easy to get completely wiped out. But lots of lovely nods to the films, very good art style. One thing it doesn't have, which is a shame, is any sort of gyro control.
Right, that is a shame. That is, I actually remember saying that specifically, as I always do, but it was particularly notable here because you use that a lot, don't you?
It was for the fact that obviously you'd expect it with the Proton packs.
Yeah.
But also because the Wii version of this, which was a different game to be fair, did have it. And it would have been a nice time to take this, which was the Xbox 360 version remastered, and the controls of that and make like an ultimate edition, you know? Absolutely.
Wasn't like the narrative of this like tied to the films?
Yeah, so that basically back in the day there was talk for a long time of a Ghostbusters 3 that was going to be set in hell or hell on earth, that idea, and it got dropped, it never happened, and this kind of picks up remnants of that script and turns it into almost a Ghostbusters 3 timeline wise.
Yeah, that's cool, that's very cool. So what's the sale? That sale, I have to say, is only available in the EU regions and Australia. It's 75% off until March the 9th.
Next then we've got Lost in Random, which is down 90%, a huge saving there. Now this is one that I haven't played. We do like to recommend one that has been recommended to us. I have bought it though on a previous sale that was about the same in terms of the saving, and I'm looking forward to giving it a go.
Yeah, this is one of those, isn't it, that gets quite a lot of love, and it's another that I've got in my backlog as well, which is quite upsetting. So it's just about, it's £2.49 here in the UK for this kind of action-adventure experience that has a bit of an Alice in Wonderland feel to it. That's decent value.
Fascinating world of random, adventure and combat go hand in hand, and many peculiar characters await. Some will help.
Next up we've got Bloodless. Now we did a dedicated sponsored video for this one. It's currently half price and it described itself as like Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, which is like a Souls-like on PC. Great game. But this took things in a bit of a different direction. It wasn't perfect, which is why I think sales at this price at 50% off is the perfect place for it. But it does have, there's a lot unique about it, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. One of those things being the aesthetic, which goes for your classic kind of Spectrum feel in terms of its colour palette. As Mark mentioned, it does have that Sekiro style gameplay. It is very difficult. It's all about parrying and disarming your enemy as opposed to killing them, and you kind of have to wait for them to attack you. Owing to that fact, there are times where a combination of that and the very tight environments do make it quite frustrating, but as you also say, that's why we're recommending it during a sale.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good storyline as well. You're basically playing as as someone who abandoned and was seen as a coward by their people and a deserter. So yeah, it's interesting game, and for that price, I'd say it's a recommendation.
We then have the Bioshock collection, which is down 80% until the 3rd of March.
Yeah, that sale is in the American regions only, and I think that's what, the first 3 games, or all 3 games?
That's the 3 games, so you've got Bioshock Remastered, Bioshock 2, and Bioshock Infinite all included in this collection.
It's funny with Bioshock, I remember the first 2 games, and you said it to me the other day, the difficulty seems obscene, like killing the enemy seems so crazy, but actually it forced you to use melee attacks, and those forget what they're called, you get like these powers. It forces you to like stun the enemy, and then you do like a one-hit kill. Yeah, no, I love Bioshock. I think it's an amazing series, that kind of first-person aesthetic. And they actually had the animations running at a different frame rate to the game.
Right.
To give it this kind of macabre look.
Strange style, yeah. So I think I'm right in saying that the games separately are also on sale. If you don't want the whole collection, but they're, from what I saw, on at 60% off, whereas you can get the whole 3 at 80% off. So this is a very good deal. Yeah,
that really is. That's a very good price. If you don't own these, they're available physically as well. I know at Game in the UK, you can get them at 67% off. So, you know, there are places you can do it if it's not in your region.
Catch!
That'll do.
There's always a man. There's always a city. There's always a lighthouse.
All right, so what's next? We have Waer Z. Like I said it correctly.
You did.
Are you proud?
I am.
You should be. This is a team-based shooter. So we've had a few different team-based shooters on Switch. This one is very online heavy, so it does favour you going online, getting a team together. And it is one of those series that seems to maintain its player base. Has quite an ardent player base. And it's good. Like, the film Waer Z, it's a bit of a mixed bag, I think it's fair to say.
That's the Brad Pitt one,
The
isn't
Brad
it?
Pitt
Yeah,
one. It's got some nice ideas. I don't know if Brad Pitt was potentially the best actor for that role. It like came off the back of things like 28 Days Later, where, what was his name? Robert, is it Robert?
Robert Carlyle was
Robert Carlyle was so
weeks later.
perfect.
Yeah.
Like, and so like intense. To then go to Brad Pitt, yeah, I wasn't so sure about it. I've got to be honest. And to be honest, it's more the script than the film. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the game. The game actually, as a team-based shooter, is quality, and it does that thing that the film did, where you have like thousands of enemies. You know, they kind of swarm up over edges and stuff. They all stack on top of each other.
I think it's a good idea to take a visual point of the film, like the stacking of the zombies, like the big wave of zombies.
Yeah.
And focus your game on that idea rather than the script of the film. I think that's quite clever.
Yeah, you don't have Bradley rocking up.
No.
Giving it large.
Exactly right.
Get back in the car, Bradley.
Get on your way.
How much is that one? That's 75%, and it ends on March the 9th. There has been a bunch of DLC for that as well, so if you do get into it, there's quite a bit more there.
Next then we've got Burnout Paradise Remastered. Again, that's down 80% that one until the 11th of March. This is a very good game. The Burnout series has always been a lot of fun. On the Switch you have this and kind of one of its competitors in Need for Speed. I forget which, I must say now, which of the Need for Speed games, but they're both very good. I think I'm right in saying that this one runs at 60, whereas Need for Speed ran at 30. So, you know, one reason I would say that, or one point in this game's corner, but at 80% off for that kind of open world, go where you want, drive, do the missions, do the races, etc. type game, you can't go wrong if you enjoy this sort of game.
No, I was more of a Need for Speed Underground 2 kind of a girl.
I always, I never played a lot of the games once they became open worldy, where you drove around the cities and stuff.
Yeah.
My era of these sort of games was more the linear, just get on a racetrack and try and come first.
Get on and drive.
Yeah, just get on and drive, exactly
just
right.
You drive, boy.
But it is, for that reason, it is quite fun to go to these ones now where they are so much bigger and experience what they've got to offer.
Yeah, and 80% off till March the 11th. Why not?
Yeah.
Take a ride.
Take a ride.
Gonna take you for a ride. What's that?
Good song, that. Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
It is, correct. Well done. Next up, we've got Phoenotopia Awakening, which is 65% off. I will always like to mention this one for two reasons. One, the game's very good, has that Zelda 2 style, side perspective. Two, we're quite close with the developer. Like, he's just a good bloke, you know, like we've done a lot of work with him over the past. This isn't a sponsored section, by the way, but it's just nice to mention it because I know for a fact how difficult it is for him to get exposure on the eShop.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do have a full review of this one, so if you want to go check that out, but I'm quite happy to say it's a cracking game. Like, I think it scored in the 90s, something like that.
Scored very high, I remember that much, yeah.
Well worth checking out that full review. Phoenotopia Awakening is 65% off until March the 9th.
Next then is Doomsday Hunters, which is another one that we've got a full review for. I seem to remember you really enjoying this. It didn't have 2-player, am I right in saying, which was the main negative against it?
Yeah, it was a roguelite in that like classic style from the top-down perspective, and it was super addictive. It didn't have 2-player, and it didn't have enough content.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But they've added more content.
Fair enough.
You know, I think there's a DLC or something that you can buy that adds a load in. They actually sent us an email about that a few months back, but we were like swamped.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is easy to recommend. Great game. Go check out the full video, but very Hades-like, top-down. Just could have used, like Glen says, multiplayer. 61% off until March the 22nd.
Right, the penultimate game then is Faith the Unholy Trinity. This is the game that I played over Christmas when we had a little bit of time off, and there are 3 small games in this series all on the one, cartridge as it was for me, but here download. It's a series of games that really remind me of almost like Atari 2600 early adventure games, things like Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah.
Where it wasn't just arcade action, there was a story to it, which was very rare back then. But obviously they're all very simple. This isn't as simple as those, but it just gives me that vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Looks a bit like a Spectrum game. You're moving from screen to screen, finding pieces of information or objects that then help you move on, and you have to fight bosses and stuff. I enjoyed this. I played the first of the 3. They're quite short over Christmas, as I said, and I do want to get back and finish the other 2. At 50% off, really, to be honest, it's just nice sometimes to mention a game that we've never mentioned before on the channel in any capacity, and this is one of those games.
Perfect, and I think that ties in beautifully for the hidden gem this week, which is a game called Very, Very Valet. And I was jokingly going, oh look at this rubbish, Very, Very Valet, what's that about? Who's ever played that? And you were like, yeah, I played that, it's good. So it's had hidden gem.
Yeah, this is one of those, I always describe them as like overcooked type games. You know what I mean, like couch co-op party games where the premise this time is that you're trying to park a number of cars, obviously being the valet, and space is tight and there's loads of obstacles in your way, that sort of thing. It's just one of those games, it comes into its element if you're playing with other people and you have mates round or family members round and you just want a bit of fun and you want to laugh at each other's incompetence. It definitely falls into that bracket, but it is a decent game.
Lovely. Well, that one's 80% off until March the 3rd. So that's it for the midweek sales. I'd say that's a pretty damn good list.
Yeah, some very strong games on there. We've had a good few weeks of strong sales, I would say, on the eShop. But do let us know if you're picking any of these games up. Don't forget, if you are doing so, you can use our website, switchup.gg, and get your eShop cards from there. Doing so will get you 5% of your purchase price back as cash back. There are links down there to other places such as Nixie or PlayAsia, if you're looking for any goods from there. Again, use the links and the codes down below and you get yourself 5% off of your order. If you're looking for something else to watch, yet still Nintendo related, my latest review on my other channel, GB Bricks, which is a Lego or Bricks centric channel, has just released, this time looking at the new Lego Yoshi bike from the Mario Kart series. I put a card to that in the top right hand corner. If you want to give that a watch, it'd be much appreciated if you do. And a thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.